Doom: The Dark Ages is a mediocre game with a $70 price, which after tax you're looking at a near $80 price point. I'm all for games being more expensive. They can't stay at $60 forever. That's just not the way the world works, but if you're going to charge max price for the baseline game, I would expect a smooth and polished experience, and this game is just not a polished experience at all. After installing the game, I couldn't even launch it without adding custom launch settings to the game in Steam. And I mean, it's not a big deal, but for near $80, I would expect the game to fucking launch correctly. So there's some weird shit going on with this game's story, setting, and characters, but before we talk about that, let's just jump into the most important part of Doom and talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is just, okay. You now carry a shield at all times, and it can block and deflect abilities, well, only the green colored abilities, and parrying is essential, because many enemies barely take any damage unless you completely reflect their green projectile or their green ability back at them. And some bosses, they're practically immune until you break their fucking stagger bar with repeated parries. And this parry system requires zero skill. The timing window is fucking massive, even on the hardest difficulty. You see bright green light, you press parry. That's the depth of the whole system. And they doubled down on this shield. You can use it to fly massive distances with it, fly through walls, fly to enemies. You can throw it as a weapon. But there's also like a bizarre traversal mechanic with it where you throw the shield into some glowing green corpses sometimes and then fly across gaps despite already having the ability to fly on command. None of it really feels cohesive. It's like the shield is just bloated as fuck, a bloated mechanic that got jammed into every crack they could fit it into in the game. Glory kills have been completely removed from the game, which was a really bad decision. Fans loved the glory kills. I thought glory kills in Doom Eternal were kinda lame myself because when you performed one, the enemy would just burst open and rainbow-colored confetti of pickups and shit would just explode out everywhere, kinda ruining the whole thing, the whole look for me. But the people loved the glory kills. So why the fuck they removed them, I don't know, just seems like a really big error. But instead now, when an enemy flashes, like how it used to flash when you would go to perform a glory kill, now it just means you can melee them once to kill them. Not very exciting. They instead also try to add some sort of combo system where you melee multiple times and it buffs your final melee attack or some shit. It kinda works, but it's just not that interesting, and it also gives you a stamina bar for your melee, so if you melee a bunch of times, you can completely lose the ability to melee again until your meter recharges, which is just an anti-Doom mechanic if you ask me. So a really big issue too is that there is slow motion that gets applied to the shield parries and your melee attacks. And this slow motion, like it might look cool when you're watching the game or in trailers, but as you're playing it, this slow motion just sucks. Parry an ability with your shield, you're now in slow motion. Want to melee an enemy, you're now in slow motion. Want to try and combo melee attacks? You're in slow motion. You go to execute an enemy? Now you're in slow motion. The nature of the game is you're going to be blocking with your shield a lot. You're going to be meleeing enemies a lot. So you randomly go from super fast base movement and flying around with your shield to suddenly slow motion. And it happens all the time, and it's really jarring and it's almost nausea inducing. Some enemies and bosses will do combo attacks and you need to parry each attack, and it's like a timing thing. But it's hard to get into a flow for any sort of timing when suddenly you're in slow motion, and then suddenly you're back to normal speed, and then you need to parry again, and you're back in slow motion. It just throws off the whole feel of the game. And this slow motion feature is probably added by what I call couch developers. Usually the guys in charge that don't even play the game, they just sit on a couch and watch others play. I've talked about this before on my channel, but a dead giveaway that a game is developed by couch developers is when they talk about their game being cinematic. And surprise, the word cinematic is plastered all over Doom: The Dark Ages. Doom 2016 had this awesome gameplay loop between killing enemies with guns, the glory kills, and chainsaw. The system rewarded aggression and violence. You get low in health, you need to perform a glory kill to get health back. You get low in ammo, you have to kill enemies with the chainsaw in order to get ammo back. And this balance was a really good gameplay loop, and it had a really good flow to it, and it really let the player just become that violent Doom Slayer. You had to always be aggressive in order to get resources. In Doom: The Dark Ages, just killing enemies with your guns makes them drop health, and simply melee attacking enemies makes them drop ammo. It's not really a gameplay loop at all. You're already going to be killing enemies with guns and melee all the time, so you don't really ever even notice it. It's a complete de-evolution from what Doom 2016 was. You never really enter the Doom flow of being in sync with the game and music and just in a trance of slaying. Also, because you have the shield and parrying enemies' abilities is so simple and easy, the overall game is just simple and easy. There's really no thought to playing the game other than see green, press block. While Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal needed the player to be aggressive, to rip and tear and slay, Doom: The Dark Ages wants you to kinda hang back and block spells with your shield in slow motion. The music in this game isn't terrible, but the absence of Mick Gordon is painful. It's now more generic, more passive. There are moments with some metal riffs, but nothing really builds up, nothing really punctuates. What's missing most isn't even the heavy parts. It's those slow, tension-building moments that Mick was so good at. The musical storytelling is just gone in this one. There's also a lot of these gimmicky moments in the game, like when you take control of these big mech-like machines to fight giant demons. It's just a gimmick, and it's not really fun or interesting. You don't do anything but spam right trigger, sometimes press right bumper. Another big gimmick in the game is the flying sections. The flying itself feels really smooth, but the combat is just so fucking bland. It just makes the flying parts a chore. The game opens with a painfully long cutscene, which, if you're a fan of Doom 2016, that right there should tell you all you need to know about this game and its story. It continues Doom Eternal's shitty storytelling as it tries to cram fantasy lore down your throat. I hoped we'd return to Doom 2016's minimalist anti-lore approach. Instead, we get a stew of meaningless titles, space kings, floating armless angels, and bad fantasy writing. The setting of the game makes no sense at all. You get a mix of futuristic sci-fi stuff with medieval stuff and nothing to hold it all together. For example, look at this room. In this room, there's futuristic consoles and monitors and shit on the walls. And then in the center of the room is an Iron Maiden. Why is there a medieval torture device in the middle of this sci-fi room? What context does this have to be here? There's no internal logic. You get the same thing with the characters. Nothing about how they dress or speak or act makes any sense. Like, you'll get a scene where a king with a fur cape steps out of a spaceship and people call him sire. It's just really bizarre. The first 3 speaking characters we are shown have 3 different English accents. Nothing fits.
We found their entry point. It doesn't make sense, sir.
The barrier is still holding, but our scans show that 3 portals were opened from inside the village.
The demons couldn't get past the barrier, so their followers are letting them in. Thera.
The transports. How much time?
Get me the new bishop. Valen's armored division is still an hour away.
We could try and launch the Atlands.
There is no time.
It's like random assets and characters were just jammed together with no world building glue. It really is like vomit. After eating Taco Bell for breakfast, McDonald's for lunch, and Panda Express for dinner, then you get DooM the Dark Ages. And it's painfully obvious this game was rushed out the door. For example, DooM guy, who is supposed to stand nearly 7 feet tall, is the shortest human in the entire game. Like, they just threw in these NPC characters into the game, didn't even check their height, their scale, or anything, just said, alright, fuck it, throw one very simple looping animation on them, call it a day, we're done. And for all the times in the game that you pass some of these NPCs, there's about 3 whole different voice lines that may randomly play with no reason. You just might hear an NPC say something like, "We can't stay here," as they stand there doing nothing. Not to mention their outfits, just the way they look, they just look so fucking stupid. The main villain, the main bad guy demon, looks like the tit head guy from Little Nicky. But with dicks growing out of his skull. The other main villains, the Makers or whatever, look like Discount Destiny 2 characters. No one has presence, there's no impact or menace. These guys just look so fucking goofy with their little spaghetti arms. I mean, their leader, this fat guy, just what the fuck? This is a big problem with this game that started in Doom Eternal. The game takes itself super serious, but has these cartoony, goofy-ass characters, and it just clashes so hard with the game. At one point in the game, the Doom Slayer frees Cthulhu for some reason. Yes, that's right, Cthulhu is in this game because fuck you. And the Doom Slayer is the guy that sets him free. I don't really know why you set him free. It seems like that would be something the Doom guy wouldn't do. But anyway, you free Cthulhu because you're told to do so by some random person on comms, and then after freeing him, you kill him because he's a bad guy. I don't really know why you freed him in the first place, to be honest. If it was explained in one of those boring-ass cutscenes, I most definitely skipped it. But I will say this. The levels set in the Old Ones dimension look fantastic. The visual design in those areas is really good. It's really rich, atmospheric, full of creepy detail. It's the only time the game actually feels like it belongs in the Doom universe. The environmental art throughout the game is pretty well done, but those levels in the Old Ones dimension look fucking really good. Doom the Dark Ages isn't really a broken game, it's just a hollow one. Mechanically disjointed, tonally confused, spiritually deflated. It feels like a $30 DLC for Doom Eternal, with a bloated feature list, forced gimmicks, and a fantasy setting nobody asked for. It lacks the polish and purpose to justify a near $80 price. So I'd say wait till this one goes on sale for about $30, then play it with little expectations. This has been David with Consternation Evolved. Thanks for watching.
Payment required.